Welcome. I'm going to invite Mikayla. Thank you for joining. Let's see here. Okay. If you're watching us live, say hello. Uh, Let me make sure she sees it. Let's see. Oh,
I'm
yay!
here. Oh, Katrina.
It worked. Hey, Katrina.
Yay.
Katrina's watching. You're coming from your car.
I am. I had a last minute appointment, and so here I am. But,
Yeah.
okay.
We do what we gotta do.
Yes, exactly. Oh,
Very.
it's so fun. How's
I know. I'm so
your
glad.
day?
It's good. It's been busy. My husband had to work longer today, so I've been running the kids around. But it's been good. How about you?
Good. My shoulder has been bothering me, so I was able to get a cancellation by this. He's technically a massage therapist, but it's like deep tissue. It's not fun, but afterwards it feels really good. So I got
Uh,
that in today. So that's
um,
nice.
have you ever had him use the gel when he works on you?
I gave him some samples, and that was about it. He actually studied like biochemistry and stuff in college, and so we had a really interesting conversation about redox. But I drank it before, and I put it on before I went. So
Yeah.
kind of my own edition of the
Perfect.
redox.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try it. There we go. There's comments on your face, and I
Oh,
can't see you. There we go. That's the one thing about these. Okay. Um, well, so for people that are joining us, why don't we introduce ourselves, and then I was thinking we could tell our stories, maybe tell a little bit about
perfect.
what ASEA is. So why
Perfect.
don't I'll let you introduce yourself.
Perfect. Well, my name's Mikayla. I live in Northern California. I'm married and I have 3 kiddos. I have a almost 15-year-old daughter. She's a freshman in high school. And then a seventh grade son. He's 13. And then a fifth grade daughter. She's 11. My husband, Larry, he works for the fire department. And I do have a part-time job with a corporate healthcare system, and I'm the trauma program manager. So I do that a few days from home. And then about a year and a half ago, I was introduced to ASEA, and I love ASEA. uh, One day I would, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how careers and everything line up in the future. Just kind of moment by moment and waiting on God's timing. But and I love Jesus. I'm a total Jesus junkie. I think that's how Megan and I and Katrina, like, a lot of us connected through ASEA. I feel like with ASEA, it's almost like you can't not talk about God, right? Because you're enacting the body's innate abilities to heal itself. And how do you talk about that without talking about the creator of us? So kind of goes hand in hand. And I found ASEA kind of a few ways. It was one of those things where, you know, uh, I don't want to say someone I know, but an acquaintance know, they were dealing with some cancer issues, and I would see photos of them, and they had this blue bottle on their nightstand, and I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. And this is kind of like how my brain works. Like, I'll see something, and I'm like, I need to find out what that is, and I just start, investigating it. And then I saw some people online looking, posting some influencers, stuff like that. I love trying things. I used to work with a functional medicine doctor, so I've always been really interested in having the body heal itself, right? Like that mindset. So I tried it just for fun. I didn't really know what I was trying it for. And the big breakthrough that I had was my hormones. So for probably since my last baby, so Molly's 11. So for a decade, I was getting TMI, but it's okay. Almost like yeast infections, but they weren't yeast infections. Like it was this really weird thing, and the OB doctors didn't know what they were, and all this stuff. And they were getting closer and closer together, and it was always right after my cycle. And luckily, I did end up finding a naturopath doctor who helped give me some stuff to take to relieve the symptoms, but never fix them. And after 1 month of taking ASEA, I haven't had any more episodes. So it's been a year and a half. What it was the hormone imbalance. So it was the shifting up the hormones around my cycle. And that is what one of the things that ASEA has been tested for, with that hormone modulation. So just help my body shift more properly. That was my big ASEA, my first big one, I guess, and then you just start taking it and you start seeing all these other things and hearing all the stories and meeting people. So yeah.
Okay. See, I hadn't even heard that. I think I knew part of it, but that's awesome. And okay, so I'll say quickly, so this is not medical advice.
Yes,
it's not meant to treat or cure anything. It's just helping our bodies to do what God designed them to do.
Yeah.
And so it's so neat because Mikayla and I did meet through ASEA, but it's like once you realize like the person loves Jesus too, there's an instant extra connection,
Yes.
And so well for you. But yeah, I am Megan, and Megan Hall, and I'm married and have 4 children. So our oldest is 14. He is in 8th grade, and then we've got 10, 7, and 2. So quite a spread there. But for me, I found it, I wish I would have found it sooner, like when I was pregnant, before I was pregnant, because it's amazing to see what women, experience during pregnancy, but, and for the baby. But I found it when I was 3 months postpartum with our 2-year-old. And I have had a history of chronic illness. I had mold illness, chronic kind of situation from mold in 2019. And so I was kind of just recovering from that when I found out I was pregnant with her. I mean, such a blessing and a gift from the Lord. But I knew like my body still there was some healing that needed to be done. And so when I heard about ASEA from watching Angie on Instagram, a person that we both follow on Instagram, and our upline, and she's wonderful, but she shares, how she uses it with her children. And I was like, it's safe. She talks about it being safe. And so I started investigating and started drinking it, hoping that it would help with my thyroid because I was still on thyroid medication. But what I've learned since then is you can't just say, oh, I'm going to take it and it's going to help with this thing. Like it goes where the greatest need is in your body.
Triages, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly. And just if there's people new watching, they're like, what in the world are they talking about? So let me just say real quickly. So ASEA is the company, but they create this liquid that you can drink and a gel that you can put on your skin. And the liquid, they're both redox signaling molecules. So we can get into the science on other episodes of this. But basically it's just helping your cells to communicate with each other better. And God created these redox molecules in our bodies. It's just as we age. Yes. But as we age and as with toxins and things, then they're not as effective. So we can supplement with them now, which is amazing. So I started drinking them, and I had one child at the time that was really struggling with like fits and just not being able to control her emotions. And I would get worked up. Like it would be everything in me to just be calm, in those situations. And it was so hard. And after I started drinking ASEA, I was like, wait a minute, like I'm calm. I'm not fighting this. And this had been a prayer for years for me to help me through these situations. And it was just like this light bulb, went on in my brain. And so since then, I mean, I'm certainly not a perfect mom, but it has changed our family dynamic. And so I'm like, even if it didn't do anything with my thyroid or with my blood sugar or whatever, I was like, I am taking this forever. Like, I don't want to not take this anymore. It's amazing. And just now learning about how much it can help prevent things and just help your body do what it needs to do. But then my 2-year-old, when she was 6 months old, was having reflux and was not gaining weight. She was in like the 15th, like below 15th percentile. And she was drinking. I was nursing. She was drinking, but she was spitting up so much. And they talked about like reflux medications. And I was like, we didn't want to do that. And I just woke up one morning and the Lord was like, ASEA. I was like, oh yeah, why did I not? I know it's safe for babies. And so we just started giving it to her in a little syringe. And that first day, I gave her 1 dose, and she didn't spit up after the next feeding. And then I continued to give it to her, and she continued to not spit up.
Wow.
And then she started gaining weight. Yeah. I mean, it was
That's
just
so crazy. So
it
cool.
was amazing. Like, children respond so quickly, too. Like, it's awesome because they already have so many redox signaling molecules. So, yeah. So, and now we just can't not share it because it's like, it will help people. It can help people. It will do something in their bodies, even if they don't see it. So now we share and see how God uses us in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you give it to the daughter that was struggling in that season with fits? And did you notice a difference?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so one thing, people when they first start drinking it, they say it tastes kind of like pool water.
Yeah.
And the more you need it, the worse it tastes for some reason. So she was really hesitant to take it. Like, she did not want to take it. And I just talked her through and explained how, because she didn't like it. She knew that she was having these issues that she didn't want to be having.
Right.
And so we talked about it, and she was willing to try it. And so we just started with like a little bitty bit, and then just kept adding and kept adding. And we got up to like an ounce a day. And an adult dose is 4 ounces a day. So that was like pretty good. And it got to the point where like we'd get late into the morning and I'd be like, why is this morning off? And then, oh, we didn't give her ASEA.
Yeah.
So, and now she takes it occasionally. She doesn't need it really unless she's got like a cold or something. I mean, she's doing so well. So yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you have your kids taking it every day, or is it kind of just as needed?
So only Essie takes it, the littlest one, takes it every day because her, poor thing, I was so depleted when I was pregnant with her. I just feel like she got started depleted, And so we've been doing mineral balancing. So we've been adding minerals into her regimen as well. But she had hip dysplasia. And so that's like where one of her hips is just out of socket. And usually, actually, it's kind of a cool God story. The orthopedic surgeon we met with, we got a second opinion with this orthopedic surgeon because the first one recommended that we do a full body cast and surgery. And she was a year old.
Wow.
And we were like, that's so much, where she was so happy. She was a happy, joyful little girl. And we were just like, if we like put this cast on her and she's just in bed, it was really a hard decision. So we're praying through it. We get a second opinion. This doctor, my husband asked the doctor, he said, so what are the chances of, if we don't do anything, her hip going back into place and her not needing surgery? And he said, it would be a miracle. He was an older doctor. He said, I've seen it once in my career. And so we were like, okay. And we kept praying, and the Lord was saying, don't do the surgery. So we bumped up her ASEA because that's just going to help with whatever,
the body
needing to grow.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we did therapy. There was a chiropractor who was not a specialist in this at all. He's a chiropractic neurologist. So it was real different, like brain work and stuff. And
that's cool.
And he had never worked with a child like this, but he was like, I think we can figure this out. I think we can do this. And so we worked with him, did some exercises. He would adjust her very gently. And her hip is in place. The last time we went to see
Wow.
him, her hip was in place. She squats perfectly now. Like she couldn't do that frog squat that little children can do until she was like almost 2, I think.
Wow.
Let's see, she started walking at like 22 months, and so it was late. But I mean, everything just works perfectly. So we do still give it to her just to make sure she's getting
Totally.
what
But I
she
love
needs. But
the
then,
mindset of your chiropractor too. Like, we can figure this out, you
yes,
know? Like,
yes,
that's
he
huge.
is. He's a gem. He is amazing. A friend of mine from ASEA, someone else I had met from ASEA, she told me about him, and she was like, I think you need to give him a call. And she was in Georgia. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm in Georgia. You're in California,
Yeah.
so.
Far, far, far away.
It's so cool with technology.
It is
Uh,
really cool.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's just amazing what our bodies can do when we give them the tools and when we seek the Lord. He gives us different strategies and different ideas depending on what's going on. Like he knows.
Yeah. And I found it so interesting when I've start talking to people about redox and everything that people, for some reason, people just start sharing their stories with me, and I love it. It's happened most of my whole life. People they feel comfortable, which I'm so blessed that they do, and they just start talking. And when I start talking about the redox, it usually leads some sort of talk to faith or stress, and I feel like everything health wise you can kind of lead back to your faith, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I started with the ASEA, I didn't understand the connection between having this little ASEA business and then being able to witness to people and pray for people and have it all be mixed in together, which I think is a total blessing. So it's a cool like entry point.
Oh, for sure. Yes, yes. And that is the thing, this company, they had this technology and they needed to figure out a way to get it to people. And if they would have just put it on like a store shelf, people would be like, what in the world? It says salt water, because that's what the bottle says, sodium and chloride, but it's a whole electrolysis process and, all
Yes.
this. And so for us to be able to talk to people and ask their stories and hear and help them get started on it and figure it out and all of that is a blessing.
I've had quite a few athletes use it. All three of my kids. Oh, I see one of them friends on. Hi, Sid. Maybe they're watching it in school right now. I don't know. But all three of my kids play competitive sports, and it's a lot like on their little bodies. And once I was learning more about the redox, I'm like, I feel like I want to give it to them almost daily because they're exerting themselves so much. And it's not just the 3-day-a-week trainings, then they have the private trainings and they have the strength and conditioning and the weightlifting and all this stuff. And I'm just hyper focused about like not having them be injured and like their body, like all this stuff, like they love their sports, but from like a whole person package, I'm like, well, I want to make sure we're supporting everything in that way. And they've now been on it for about 6 months consistently, just like maybe an ounce or two a day. And then when they're doing like tournaments, and it gets really hot where we are, we're inland California, so it gets really hot in the summers, and they would be doing like soccer tournaments, and it's like 105 degrees, and they're playing 3 games in a day. Like, it's crazy. And we had episodes, not this last summer, but the summer before, and they would feel faint, like heat exhaustion, all this stuff, like come in the car crying. And this past summer, them being on the redox, like we've had no issues at all. And like both of their stamina has like improved like crazy. My daughter had like a really gnarly ankle injury, and first thing I did was grab the redox. I was smearing the gel all over it, and then went to the chiropractor to readjust. That's a fun fact about ankle injuries is the calcaneus bone has to get readjusted every time you sprain your ankle. Otherwise it's going to keep happening. So that the redox. And I know it's just been fun to use the redox in all these different areas of your life,
Yeah.
with your kids. But yeah,
Do they use the gel a lot, like
they
just on
do.
sore muscles and things like
Yeah. Yeah. We use the gel a lot. Yeah. I mean, their legs are always banged up and stuff. And,
that?
my daughter uses it my older was part of her like skincare routine. And
Yeah.
she really likes, have you used some of the designated, skincare routine from the ASEA?
Yes, I bought like the whole set and I've used all of it. And I mean, it was great. Like no complaints at
You liked
all.
it?
I like the advanced serum, which is like the
Is that the little
Renew,
blue
but it's,
one?
yeah,
Okay.
it's like really concentrated. I like that to have in case there are like cuts or if there's a blemish or something, like you can put it right, or you can even put it like around, your
Yeah.
eyes and that kind of thing. Yeah, so I like that. I use that regularly, but I've kind of cycled in the skincare. So, but
Yeah. I have, I use the Renew gel every day for my skin. I've never been like a big skincare person. It's just not, so I do put the gel on. I wash my face and I put the gel on, but
yeah,
I haven't gotten
yeah.
the routine.
I do. Actually, one thing that I've been adding in recently, which it's really gooey. This is not a ASEA, but it's castor oil on your face. And castor oil is like so good for detox. Like I use it on my liver for detox. But I've been putting castor oil like on the tops of my eyelids because I have hooded eyes, and as you age, hooded eyes don't do very well. And I've been putting it on my thyroid at night. And I actually just got my thyroid labs checked, so I'm very curious to see if
Do you use
that's.
the little neck pad with the
I
castor
have the
oil?
little, yes, I have that, but at bedtime, I'm just like, okay, it's just going to be on me. It's just going
Yeah.
to get on my pillowcase, I'm fine with it. So yeah, I've recently added that in, so we'll see. Because yeah, I don't like having so many steps. Like I use Pure Haven for like my serums and stuff, and then I always use the gel. Like right after I cleanse, use the gel. But I don't know. I play around with it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
have
but
I have two new gals that are selling it under me, and they both had really cool results, like within a week. So I want to just share that because I know it's kind of fun. I
good.
love hearing the testimonies and
Please
stuff.
do.
Um, the first one, she has chronically bad knees. She's like this adventure lady. She has no kids. We grew up together, but she was more my sister's age. Like they traveled the whole country. Like they rented out their house and traveled around in a trailer during COVID with their two dogs. And they would like kayak down waterfalls and climb mountains. And I would be watching her feed and be like, she's so cool. Like she's doing all these are really cool things. And from all of her adventures, she has like really her knees ache a lot. To the point where she's like, I might need, I think she had surgery at some point, not exactly what type of surgery, but she's really affected by her knees. And so she started taking the Redox daily and started just the 2 ounces in the morning and the 2 ounces in the evening. And it had that really strong taste, like you mentioned. So the taste, again, when you start taking it, tastes kind of like pool water. And it's because you're depleted of these redox molecules. So the more you replenish, the less the taste. So every day, depending on what's going on, it's going to taste a little bit.
Right.
So within a week, she's like, I went on a hike and my knees didn't hurt. I was like, that's amazing. It was like this aha moment, right? And she's a really, really smart gal. She is a DNA dietitian. So she tests people's DNA and then coordinates a health plan for them based on their specific DNA, which is really cool. We should have her on one day and just talk. She's just a cool lady, and she's a Christian, like just really cool lady. But just for her to see those results in like a week, that was really cool.
huge. Yes. Because
That would,
some people it does take up to 90
right,
days, but some people get to experience it really quickly. That's
right.
awesome.
Yeah. And her husband was like a little skeptical. He's like, and then and then he's like, wow, like you're moving really well, like you're not hurting, and all this stuff. So then I was like, well, if you want to like really up your game, put some gel on after too on your
Yep.
knees, whatever
Yep.
else is bothering.
Right.
Yeah. And then the other lady, her hair started growing like crazy.
Nice.
So she's like, I'm getting all these new hairs. And I was like, well, that is common, So I'm like, it's just, but like you said, you never really know what it's going to work because your body's going to take the molecules and shift them to wherever they need to be. So
Wow. That's great. Well, and my mom had the same situation with her knees. It took her longer, but
yeah,
she's had pain in her knees as long as I can remember. And I mean, bad. Like going up and down stairs was painful. And so she started drinking it really just to support me. She was
good
like,
old mom.
oh, sure, I'll try it. Yeah. And so after I'd had such a great result. And so she, about 3 months in, it was right at about that 90 days, she said she woke up and she was like, my knees aren't hurting. And her low back had really been bothering her. She's like, my back's not hurting. And I mean, she couldn't believe it. I mean, she'd tried everything, all the like turmeric and stuff that I would throw at her. She'd try, and so she is just sold on it. I mean, she tells everybody she can to try it.
I love it.
Yeah. So such a blessing. So
I love it.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we can definitely, I would love to have like some people on that have stories they want to share too. And I think you can like invite, I don't know, maybe up to 4 people at one time.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
I know nothing about these lives, so thank you for answering all my texts this morning. What do I do? I gotta do this.
Of course, I know. Well, the cool thing is you can do a practice live on here.
Oh.
And so the first time I ever did it, like the person I did it with, did a live with, we did a practice live. And so that was cool. And then it just deletes and then you can do the real thing. So you can see where all the buttons are and stuff.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah.
How's your house stuff going? Because I know you're searching and, I know that's a big, like, waiting on God thing for you. So.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, my husband, I didn't mention him. He's in law enforcement. And so we've been here for 10 years and he's eligible to retire in April. So he may be moving out into a different role at that point. So we started looking at houses in North Georgia. I really thought that prices would be similar to the prices here where we are in South Georgia, and they aren't. And it's more, and so we started kind of looking at building, looking at buying, and every house, like we'd see a house and then it would sell. And like, we're just like, okay, God's closing these doors on all of these different houses. So he gave me a specific Bible verse about a tree. And so long story short, we found this lot that we really felt like he was pointing us to because there's trees all over North Georgia, but this one tree. And so we thought this was the lot, and we put an offer 2 weeks ago, haven't heard anything. The owners of the land are in South Africa.
Oh, wow.
Apparently. And yeah. And the realtor, we're not quite sure, like the communication hasn't been great with her. And so we put in a new offer yesterday, just put what our max would be and put a time clause on it. So we should know by tomorrow, Wednesday at 6 p.m. And
it's so nerve wracking. Like I can't breathe.
It is.
Buying a house and those offers and just, that's a lot.
It is. And so my husband was reading this morning in Genesis, and Abraham was talking a lot. I'm on the live, hang on. Kids running in. So Abraham's talking a lot, and he says, if you go left, I'll go right. If you go right, I'll go left. And Greg was like, okay, so if these people go left, we'll go right, because there's actually like a lot next to it that we would possibly look into. Yeah. And so we're just like, okay, Lord, like, we trust you and we want to obey you and we want to be in your
Yeah.
will. So yeah, so now we're just waiting, and it's like you just think about all the little details that, okay, if we had ended up in a different house when we moved down here, we wouldn't have had the neighbors that we have now. We wouldn't, you know, there's so many like downstream effects. So it's
I heard one time in a sermon that I like to remember and kind of hang on to, because I think, you know, out of obedience, you want to make the right decision, but then sometimes it's not like crystal clear, you know, and at least like a no, right? Like, or a yes. Sometimes I feel like no's are pretty clear, but then sometimes yeses are a little more fuzzy.
Right.
And this one pastor said, he's like, sometimes God's will is a 5-lane highway. And as long as you're heading in the right direction, he has way to get you there in all 5 lanes.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, like, I don't know. I appreciate that sometimes.
Yes.
You know, like having faith that you're supposed to get here, he's going to get you there. Your route might look a little bit different, or, you know, but he's got you.
Yes. Yes. Amen.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. So yeah. So thank you. Thank you for asking. Yeah, we're just walking in faith, and it's been good though. I mean, you know, you grow closer, and I want the children to see this. I want our children to learn to walk with him and seek him every step. So that's been good.
Totally.
Because it'll be a big change for them.
Yeah, but it is special, like walking them through your struggles, you know what I mean, and the decision process, so that when they're there in their situation, their own, they're like, oh yeah, well, my parents went through something, but they figured it out.
Right.
Never shielding your kids from struggles. Like, they don't need to be in the middle of it, but having that awareness.
Yes, definitely.
Awareness is good.
Anyway,
sure.
So good. Well, our time is already up.
This is so fun.
I know.
I'm excited. Our inaugural live.
Yes. So, Truth Talk Tuesday. I just thought that was, you know, because we're speaking truth. And we'll have lots of great conversations. So, if you're still watching, or if you watch this afterwards, definitely comment and let us know, and to say hello, and
any
if there's something specific you want to ask.
Any specific redox questions, or, you know, God, I don't know, anything.
Yes, Katrina said thank you. Love Truth Talk Tuesday.
Oh,
thanks, Katrina.
I'll be a guest one day.
Okay.
Yes,
absolutely. Yes, Katrina, hopefully you will join us. All right, well,
thanks, Megan.
Glad it worked out. Yes, well, I'll see you on Thursday on the call.
That sounds good. Bye.
Okay. All right. Bye.